What's good, everybody? Is John, come back at you another video. So this video I wanted to share an important idea, and this idea I want you to use it to reflect on your own life because I know it to be the truth, and I want you guys to accept that and believe this to be true as well. And this idea is that happiness comes from creating instead of reacting. So what you need to remember about events, first and foremost, about the events that happen in life, that events are not good or bad, they just are. It's just we as people often place them in buckets of whether something is good or bad when something happens, right? Like it's almost like first impressions of an event will say something is good or bad, and is never actually like that. It's never that black and white, but you can still find the good in every situation. You can find the good in anything, but sometimes there might be some events where it may not be as easy to find something good immediately, but it can still end up being something beneficial to your life experience. And I'm going to give you guys an example. For me, during my time, like towards the end of my high school when I was applying to colleges, right, I had a school in mind. This was pretty much like a dream school, if you will, that I wanted to go to because it was close to home. I would have gotten a good education, and this is where some of my other family members were attending, right? So I said, okay, this would be a perfect match. Fast forward to like admission day or whatever, acceptance day, whatever. I received an email that that school rejected me, and then I was effectively like heartbroken for about an hour until I received an email from another college that accepted me and also offered me a full ride to go. And it was a school that was even better than my dream school, right, that I had in mind. And that ended up being the best opportunity for me because even though I was a few hours away from home, it ended up being the best experience, and it allowed me to grow more as a person because I was away from home. I had to be independent, right? I learned how to live on my own, all these good things, right? So what seemed to have been disaster, knowing that I got rejected from what I thought was my dream school, ended up working itself out in my favor because I got a full ride to a college that I felt was even better academically than the school that I initially wanted to go to. And so I would get my education. I would graduate without student loans or student debt, and I've also grown as a person. And I had a more standard college experience of being away from home and all, right? So it ended up being the best possible experience I could have ever had. But at the time when this all unfolded, I was sad for an hour because I had gotten rejected from what I thought was my dream school. This is what I mean, right? When events happen in life, they're not just good or bad, they just are. It's we as people that assign the meaning. And sometimes we can think something bad, but it can very well all be working according to plan for what's actually best for you and what was actually meant for you, right? Most people are conditioned to react, and reacting, in my opinion, is the opposite of creation. But reacting means you looking at your environment, looking at the events that are unfolding in your life, and how you feel like as first impressions, first reaction will, for most people, determine how that event is, whether something is good or bad. And you need to remember that it's not like that because life is all about perspective. You can find the good in every situation. It's no different than an example of having a glass of water to the halfway mark, filling a glass with water to the halfway mark, and basically saying, is the glass half full or is the glass half empty, right? People who are pessimistic will say the glass is half empty because we're missing half of the glass of water. But the people who are optimistic will say, no, the glass is half full because there's still water for you to drink and you can still make something happen with that water, right? So life is all about perspective, and people who react will typically just go off of what they see, and immediately how they feel is how they will feel about the situation, even though it can very well be working itself out for them or working in their favor, right? Problem also with people who are mostly conditioned to react is that they are often not even serving as the gatekeepers to their mind and to their mind and to their thoughts. They'll let their thoughts run wild, and they'll allow themselves to be exposed to everything and anything and everything, right? Rather than, if they know that they're conditioned to react, then it would be best for them to serve as the gatekeeper, right? It would be best for them to separate themselves from watching the news all the time, or from separating themselves from social media, where everyone on social media has an opinion, where everyone has a megaphone, right? Like These are typically areas or places where people can tend to feel negative emotions because they're experiencing negative events. And what you need to remember about reacting is that when you're reacting, you're basically going off of what you see. You're going off of events that already happened and manifested in your life. So technically speaking, this is already old news. You're reacting to things that already happened. Therefore, it's old news, right? When you're creating creation, because you can choose how to feel, right? Because feeling and emotion, these are internal things. You can choose how to feel of, for any event or regardless of your set of circumstances, you can change how you feel about things. Nothing in your external world or your environment has to change for you to change how you feel about it. And here's a perfect example. You can wake up and it could be raining cats and dogs. And for most people, it's already a horrible day because it looks gloomy outside. They feel as though this is about to be a bad day. But you can look out the window and smile and say that it's going to be a good day because all it is just rain, right? It's just water coming down, right? No big deal. And a lot of times those end up being great days because at least as a kid, I remember going to school and on those rainy, gloomy days, most kids felt the same, that it was going to be a bad day, gloomy day. So they stayed home. And so those days ended up being the easier days in school because only half the class showed up. So it felt more of an intimate setting. Learning was a lot more relaxed. The people that were there were chill, so even on those bad days, they can end up being very fun and memorable and enjoyable days, right? This is what I mean. When events can happen, but you can still choose how you want to feel about it. And what you need to remember is creation happens from the inside out because you, as a creator, right? The emotion that you feel, the thoughts that you think leads to the emotion that you feel, and the emotions that you feel determine either the action or the inaction that you take, right? If you think positive thoughts, you're going to feel positive emotion, and then you're going to take positive action. You're going to want to act upon that, right? So happiness, when you create, it's an internal feeling, and that internal feeling gets projected out into the external world, right? Simple example, if you were craving a turkey sandwich, right? You were thinking about a turkey sandwich, it's exactly what you want to eat. You go to the kitchen, you gather all the ingredients to make your turkey sandwich, you make the sandwich, and then guess what? You feel so good, you're happy, you're excited because you're not only eating what you want, you've also created the sandwich exactly how you want it to be in your mind, right? This is how creation works. Creation works from the inside out, and reacting to things is from the outside in, is looking at what already exists, looking at the things that are happening, and first reaction, first impression, that ends up becoming how your body ingests the information, right? Creating, you're basically saying it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. I want to choose how I feel, and then however I'm feeling is what I can project out and bring out to the surface, to the physical world. So happiness comes from creating because you want to pick and choose the feeling that you want to feel because you have the power to do that. There's people out there that will truly believe, like deep down, genuinely believe that they can't control their emotions, and that is not true. You choose to feel how you want to feel. If someone stepped on your shoe when you're outside, you can choose to feel angry at the person, or you can choose to smile and laugh and let them know that it's no big deal. Or someone stepping on your shoe could end up being a way to start a conversation with that person. That person can end up being someone that is a good friend of yours that you were meant to meet and like cross path with, because they're going to be an integral part of your life. You don't know how the universe works. You don't know how the universe is going to align events to deliver you what you want and what you ask for, right? That's how it all works, because everything is connected, because everything is energy, right? So going back to this all, right? Happiness comes from creating because you are happy when you are creating the things that you want to create, when you are making the things that are appearing in your mind and your imagination, and you're bringing that to the real world, to the surface. That is when you're happiest, because you are effectively designing your life and the world the way you want it to be, the way you see fit, rather than accepting things for how they are and accepting things the way other people portray it to be, right? You will find true joy and happiness from creating all things, from creating your attitude, right? How you think about yourself. Some people don't know that they create their own attitude, because a lot of times people that are angry, when they think of themselves and they envision themselves and envision their face and how they're operating, they envision themselves as being angry all the time, which is why they're angry all the time. You create your attitude. You create your appearance. You create everything in your world, everything in your reality, because you are a creator. You decide on the things that you want to buy. You decide on the things that you want to own. You decide, right? Like, so you are a creator. You create your reality. You create your world. So happiness comes from creating, because that's you given the gift, given, that's you using the divine power that you were given from birth, and you're using that to your advantage. You're using that to help mold your world and shift your life, right? Because at the end of the day, your life is yours to live, and you deserve to have a happy, fulfilling life the way you see fit, right? Most people who are reacting or reactors are conditioned to just go off of what they see, and then the first feeling that they feel is how they think about the situation, when that's not necessarily the case, because you can always find the good or the positive in something. Just because something seems bad doesn't mean it has to be bad, right? It can end up being one of the greatest things to happen to you. But even so, people who react, they're often not the gatekeepers of their mind or the information that makes its way to them, because plenty of people will just accept whatever everyone else say, whatever the media says, whatever people on social media says. They'll accept that as fact and as truth. When a lot of times, and a lot of these places, people lie, or people exaggerate the truth, or people, right? Like, I rather focus on my reality and my world, focus on what I have going on, and take time to create how I want my life to be, and to create the world that I want to see, rather than just, have my eyes peeled and just always paying attention to the events that are happening in my environment, because all of that is old news. When you're creating, you are bringing something new to the world. This is why you're always creating a future, because you are putting things in motion so that your future can exist, right? If you're just reacting, then you're not bringing anything new to the surface, right? You're just looking at what is, and then you're probably getting frustrated. But if you want a better future, a better life, right, you need to operate from a place of creating. And you are happiest when you're creating, because creation brings you joy, because you are using the divine power, the God power, the gift that you were given at birth, and you're utilizing that to effectively mold the life that you want to live. So there's a lot of truth to that, and a lot of truth to this video. So hopefully you're able to reflect on your own life and see how this right here is powerful information. So that wraps up the video. Enjoy the video. Do leave a like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 1 million subscriber, guys. So once again, it's Joel, and I'm out. I'll see you guys for the next video.